Hello, one day a girl was discovered missing by her friends. The police conducted multiple searches but couldn't find any clues. However, in her farmhouse, they found a diary that contained shocking information that could be the key to solving the case. So, what was written in that diary? The story takes place in Gloucestershire, a county in southwest England, located northeast of the Severn Estuary, bordering the Bristol Channel to the west and Oxfordshire to the east. The main character of the story is Kate, born in 1952 to a farming family in Gloucestershire, the youngest of 5 siblings. During her school years, she was always an outstanding student. As an adult, she became a teacher and later inherited her parents' estate, along with a substantial savings. Through her siblings, Kate met a man named Adrian Plout, 6 years younger than her. He had previously worked as a pipeline engineer before switching to farming. Adrian had gone through an unsuccessful marriage and had a daughter who moved out after the divorce. After meeting Kate, the two developed a romantic relationship and got married in the second year of knowing each other. Their wedding was joyful and they were full of hope for a new life. Time passed quickly, and they had now been married for 5 years. Adrian was 47 years old and Kate was 53. They used their lifetime savings to buy a farm in Gloucester and moved there to live. To their neighbors, the couple appeared to be living a peaceful life, not concerned with the outside world. However, no one could have predicted that a tragic seed had already been planted. The mysterious disappearance. On November 10, 2007, a Saturday. That morning, a man named David, a friend of Kate's, was driving past the farm. In recent days, David had called her several times but never received a reply. So at that moment, he decided to stop by the farm to see if she was home. He parked his car at the gate and walked in. The farm was silent, with no one in sight. This made David feel a bit uneasy. He approached the house and called out for Kate, but there was no response. After a while, David decided to push the door open and step inside. First, he went to the living room. Everything was tidy, but Kate was nowhere to be found. Next, he went to the study, which was messier, with various office supplies scattered on the desk and floor, but still no sign of Kate. Finally, he went to the dining room, where the utensils were neatly arranged on the cabinet. Lastly, he went to the bedroom. The bed was neatly made, and the bedside table and desk were organized. But Kate was still nowhere to be found. After searching without success, David took out his phone and called Kate again. Just like the previous calls, there was no answer. Next, he called Kate's husband, Adrian, and reported her missing. Adrian said he wasn't at the farm at that moment, but would return home soon. When Adrian arrived home and still couldn't find his wife, he called the police. The police arrived at the farm that afternoon. Adrian also mentioned that he had lost contact with his wife for several days. Even the neighbors, when questioned by the police, admitted that they hadn't seen Kate for days. According to the neighbors, the last time they saw Kate was on the afternoon of November 5th, when she was wearing a black V-neck sweater. Some people mentioned that over the past year, Kate often traveled with friends or returned to her hometown, so they weren't surprised when she disappeared for a few days. However, none of Kate's friends reported seeing her, and her relatives confirmed that she hadn't visited them. With Adrian's consent, the police searched the house. Kate's clothes were missing, and her car was also gone from the farm, suggesting she might have gone on a trip. David told the police that in recent days, Kate's phone had always been turned off, something that had never happened before. A neighbor of the farm provided the police with a clue. Over the past year, the relationship between Kate and Adrian had been very strained, and they frequently argued. When the police interviewed Adrian in more depth, he stated that the last time he saw Kate was on the afternoon of October 5th. They had lunch together, but got into an argument. After that, Adrian went out to a pub to drink with friends and didn't return home until the evening. When he got back, Kate wasn't at home, and he assumed she had gone to stay with her brother, as she had done after previous arguments. Adrian also mentioned that in the following days, Kate's friends kept calling him, saying they couldn't get in touch with her. But since he genuinely didn't know where Kate was and was still angry, he didn't pay much attention to what they were saying. He didn't look for Kate either. During the conversation with Adrian, the police noticed that he didn't show any signs of concern about his wife's disappearance. In fact, when the police kept questioning him, Adrian seemed a bit annoyed. This made the police feel that something wasn't right. Their intuition told them that Adrian was hiding something. Kate's phone records showed that her last call was made at 3:29 p.m. on November 5th, 5 days before the police received the report. In that call, she contacted her bank to inquire about her assets. There was nothing unusual about this, but it did prove that at that time, Kate was still okay. So why did she go missing? The police brought Adrian to the station for further investigation. Although they had suspicions about Adrian, they still lacked evidence. Everything was just speculation. Additionally, since Kate's clothes and car were missing from the house, it was possible that she had gone on vacation somewhere or was staying with friends or relatives. Due to the lack of clues, the police publicly announced Kate's disappearance, hoping someone might come forward with information or that Kate would return home soon. It had been 22 days since Kate's disappearance, but the case still hadn't progressed. During this time, the police interviewed Kate's neighbors, relatives, and friends, but no one had seen her. They also didn't find any evidence that Kate had conflicts with anyone. For a while, the police thought that Kate might be traveling. But after more than 20 days of monitoring her phone and bank cards, they were almost certain that Kate hadn't engaged in any activity. On the other hand, many people told the police that the relationship between Kate and Adrian had been very tense, with frequent arguments, and Kate had mentioned to her family that Adrian had physically abused her. She had even considered divorcing Adrian. From the beginning, the police had suspected Adrian because he had both the motive and the opportunity to commit the crime, and their farm was an ideal place to dispose of Kate without being discovered. Therefore, the police detained Adrian and deployed 50 officers, sniffer dogs, a helicopter, and a thermal camera to thoroughly search the farm. They meticulously examined all areas where Kate could be hidden. However, due to the farm's vast size and many hiding places, the 22-day search yielded nothing. With a lack of evidence, Adrian was eventually released. The turning point. 2 months after the incident, the police returned to Kate's house to continue the investigation. This time, they brought along a sniffer dog with an excellent sense of smell. When the dog arrived at the house, it sniffed around everywhere. Upon reaching the balcony, it suddenly began barking continuously, indicating that Kate had been in that area. As a result, the technicians conducted a thorough search of both the balcony and the entire house, but they still couldn't find any trace or evidence. Despite this, the police did uncover some important items, such as Kate's wallet, phone, bank cards, and clothes, all found on the farm, which confirmed that Kate had not gone on a trip. In addition to her personal belongings, the police also discovered a crucial diary. From its contents, they learned that in the year leading up to Kate's disappearance, she and Adrian had been frequently arguing, mainly because he was too busy with his business and couldn't spend much time with her. The situation worsened when Adrian allowed his ex-wife's daughter to move in with them, further straining their relationship. Kate had accused Adrian of physically abusing her, and they had a fierce argument during which Adrian threatened to kill her. After another argument, Adrian threw Kate into the farm's pool. Kate was desperate and felt that Adrian had gone mad. As a result, she moved out of the farm that same day and went to live with her brother. During this time, Kate reported the abuse to the police, but since she wasn't seriously injured, the police didn't pursue the matter further. Later, Kate hired a lawyer and began preparing to file for divorce. She knew that the farm was Adrian's most valuable asset, so in her divorce petition, she demanded that he pay her £600,000 as a settlement. However, less than a month later, Adrian reached out to Kate and tried to reconcile. Eventually, Kate softened and was persuaded to return. Afterward, they lived peacefully for a while. But then, unexpectedly one day, Adrian proposed divorce to Kate and expressed his willingness to pay the £600,000 settlement, which left Kate feeling very confused. 2 months ago, while Kate was negotiating the divorce settlement, she went on a trip with her sister. She had arranged for a housekeeper named Daisy Bellamy to take care of the farm. When Kate returned, she discovered that Adrian and Daisy had been engaging in intimate behavior. In reality, Kate didn't want a divorce, so she chose to turn a blind eye and didn't mention it. In an effort to save her marriage, Kate booked 2 plane tickets to Italy and invited Adrian to go with her, but he declined. In the end, Kate had to go to Italy with her sister instead. After returning to the farm from the airport, Kate discovered Adrian having dinner with their housekeeper Daisy and Daisy's daughter. Kate immediately accused Daisy of having an affair with Adrian. In her anger, Kate once again wanted a divorce. She met with a lawyer to discuss the divorce and the settlement. The lawyer informed her that due to the farm's increasing value over time, Kate could now demand £800,000 as a divorce settlement. However, Adrian couldn't quickly gather enough money to pay the settlement. He would have to sell the £1.2 million farm, which would destroy the asset he had worked so hard to build. Kate's diary ended here. The diary's contents not only revealed the long-standing conflicts between the couple, but also highlighted a major disagreement over the divorce settlement, which could be Adrian's motive for the crime. Additionally, the police discovered that Adrian was a former pipeline engineer, meaning he could have used his expertise to bury Kate in a place where no one would ever find her. 3 months after the incident, the police arrested Adrian once more on suspicion of murdering Kate, but due to a lack of evidence, he was released again. After some investigations, people started to feel that while Adrian was somewhat hot-tempered, he generally didn't seem like the kind of person who would do something terrible to his wife. Moreover, the police had been investigating for a long time without finding any evidence, so most people believed Adrian was innocent, convinced that there must be another reason for Kate's disappearance. A year and a half after the incident, Adrian continued to run his farm and seemed to gradually forget about his wife. Since Kate had signed the divorce papers, they were no longer legally married. Shortly after, Adrian met a woman named Daphne, who was 8 years younger than him, and they quickly began living together. Daphne even became pregnant, and they decided to get married and start a new life together. However, 16 months after Kate's disappearance, Adrian was arrested for the third time, accused of murdering his wife. This time, the court accepted the prosecutor's indictment. 11 months later, the trial took place at the Cheltenham County Court, with Daphne, who was soon to become Adrian's wife, also present. During the trial, the prosecutor described Adrian's motive and the process of committing the crime, explaining how Adrian had a history of domestic violence, had threatened to kill Kate, and, not wanting to pay the £800,000 settlement after their divorce, had killed her on the afternoon of October 5th. As a former pipeline engineer, Adrian was very knowledgeable about installing underground pipes. He used his expertise to commit the crime, hiding Kate somewhere on the farm, making it impossible for the police to find her. Although there was no direct evidence, Adrian's history of domestic violence and the strong motive to kill his wife led the 12-member jury to convict him, sentencing him to life imprisonment without parole. Despite the conviction, Adrian remained adamant about appealing, and Daphne strongly supported him. Many neighbors also believed that there were issues with the verdict, as Kate's body had never been found, suggesting that she might still be alive. Under significant pressure, the police conducted another search of the farm, but once again found nothing, unveiling the truth. 3 months after Adrian's sentencing, the police announced they would cease searching the farm due to its vast size and complex terrain. At this point, more and more people, including Daphne, began to believe that Adrian was innocent. A year and a half into Adrian's imprisonment, Daphne found a potential path for an appeal and hoped that Adrian would agree to a lie detector test. Initially, he refused, but eventually agreed. During the test, when asked if he was his wife's killer, Adrian answered calmly, but his physiological indicators showed fluctuations. As a result, Adrian failed the polygraph test. Then, when asked if he suspected any malfunction with the testing equipment, Adrian made a surprising move. He finally confessed to being his wife's killer. Adrian explained that on the day of the incident, he and Kate had a heated argument over divorce and financial matters. In a fit of rage, he strangled her to death. To cover up the crime, Adrian put Kate's body in the trunk of his car and then went to a bar to drink with friends. Upon returning home, Adrian chose to bury his wife's body in the forest, inside an abandoned chicken coop. The reason for this location was that the heavy stench there could mask the smell of the decomposing body, making it undetectable even to highly trained sniffer dogs. Later, when asked to lead the police to Kate's burial site, Adrian could only vaguely identify the area as he had forgotten the exact location due to the passage of time. It took the police 4 days of continuous digging before they finally found the body. Thus, the entire case was finally solved. This time, the life sentence was well-deserved for what Adrian had done. No one could have imagined that he would be such a terrible husband, ruthlessly killing his wife over money. From this case, we can see that if Adrian hadn't pointed out the location himself, Kate might never have been found. After his wife's disappearance, Adrian remained cold and indifferent. Had he tried to fake concern a bit more, he might have won the jury's trust. But in the end, Adrian couldn't hide his guilt. The murderer paid for his crime, but sadly, Kate will never live again. And that wraps up today's case. To help improve the visibility of our video on YouTube, we would greatly appreciate your support with a like. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss the case together. On behalf of the team, thank you very much for your support. For now, goodbye and see you next time.